Hi everyone, you may be wondering why is this video called Royal Way? Well, during my visit to Czech Republic, I had a part of one afternoon to spend in Prague. Not much time. Prague is a city packed with sights to see, and there are places literally next to each other that millions of tourists visit every year. I will walk most of the so-called Royal Way today, albeit in the opposite direction. The Royal Way starts in the Old Town, goes to the Charles Bridge and then through the Lesser Town to the Prague Castle. The coronation parades of Bohemian kings went the same way in the past, and they continued through the Lesser Town Square up the Nerudova Street to the Prague Castle. That's why it is called the Royal Way. Most of the important sites of the historical Prague are situated along this way. Since there are so many things to see, the first video will end before we reach the Charles Bridge. And that will cover only a part of what Prague has to offer. But I have maybe only 6 hours or so to walk, so it will be packed and I will not be able to visit any museums or exhibitions. Now we pass the entrance gate, one of the several, to the castle complex, and we will continue to the inner courtyard. It is late autumn, pandemic, who knows what COVID wave is washing over people here, third, fourth maybe. It is off season and the castle is still packed with tourists. Prague Castle is a castle complex built in the 9th century. It is the official office of the President of the Czech Republic. The castle was a seat of power for kings of Bohemia, Holy Roman emperors and presidents of Czechoslovakia. The Bohemian crown jewels are kept within a hidden room inside it. According to the Guinness Book of Records, Prague Castle is the largest ancient castle in the world, occupying an area of almost 70,000 square meters, which is 750,000 square feet, at about 570 meters in length, an average of about 130 meters wide. The castle is among the most visited tourist attractions in Prague, attracting over 2 million visitors annually before pandemic. But the way it looks, it will be very close, even during the pandemic, to that number. The church building we are looking at is St. Vitus Cathedral. Until 1997, it was dedicated only to St. Vitus and is still commonly called that, but in 1997 they renamed it to the Metropolitan Cathedral of St. Vitus, Wenceslaus and Adalbert, and it is a Roman Catholic Metropolitan Cathedral, the seat of the Archbishop of Prague. Construction of this present-day Gothic cathedral started in November 1344, and the coronations took place in the cathedral. It is a prominent example of Gothic architecture, and it is the largest and most important church in the country. Not that Czechs are very religious people, quite the opposite. The citizens of the Czech Republic are in the top 4 least religious European countries. But the importance of the cathedral is related to its role in history. It contains the tombs of many Bohemian kings and Holy Roman emperors. The cathedral is under the ownership of the Czech government as part of the Prague Castle complex. And speaking about the whole complex, there are 4 churches, 4 palaces, and numerous other points of interest in the castle complex, and you could easily spend here all day and still not see everything. So I'm just randomly walking around and looking at the buildings and people. As I mentioned already, the castle complex actually hosts 4 castles and 4 churches, and we are looking at one of the castles. Everything is easily walkable. Here is a look at the cathedral again, and we will continue walking around. In the distance where people are walking, we will see St. George's Cathedral. It's the reddish building. It's about 1100 years old, and it is the second oldest church in the complex. There are numerous statues. Also, as I mentioned, there is an office of the President of the Czech Republic, and people say that when there is a flag flying, like we just glanced, the President is in office physically, but that's not really the case. And here we are getting closer to the main gate, main entrance to the castle complex. I believe there are three of them, and this is the main one. And the square in front of the castle is again full of historical buildings that were built by the nobility, aristocracy, because they wanted to be close to their king or emperor, as the case may be. Today there are still many people coming through that main gate or exiting, because also once you get out of the castle there are just absolutely fabulous views of the city itself below and the river. So we will go there now and we will continue down to the old town. And once we get past the guards, you can be a king for a day or for 5 minutes, depending on how much you want to part with your euros or dollars or Czech crowns. It's really a delight for your family, friends and bystanders. Let's take a listen.
Este moment, and my king. Your wine cup, Chardonnay. Chardonnay or champagne?
Bravo, Fabio, bellissimo.
Este un momento, stand up. Stand up, stand up.
Bravo, vai.
Oops, no problem. This is Lupo. Perso la corona. Good. Tak. My lord. No problem. Good. And spada. And tak. Ja. Good.
Bravo, dai.
And together. Amici, friends.
Friends.
Welcome to Prague.
This beautiful white building right in front of the royal palace is Archbishops Residence. Not a bad place for a poor guy. And here to the left with the flowers is a statue of the first president of Czechoslovakia. Tomáš Garrigue Masaryk was his name. He is recognized as the founder of the republic. And people are admiring Prague, the views. Prague is also sometimes called a city of 100 spires, but really it's like 500 of them. A lot of the buildings with red roofs that we see down there are baroque buildings in the old town, which is also part of the UNESCO World Heritage Site. And shortly I will go down Nerudova Street, which is part of the Royal Way that I mentioned at the beginning of the video, the way that was taken by the kings and emperors when they came to the castle. So I think this will be the end of this video. Thank you for watching. If you liked it, come back again. Have a good day. Goodbye.